Hey, Shalom. Let's begin this lesson by giving all praise, glory, and honor due to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. That is all praises, blessings, honors be to the Most High. His true name is Yahawah, that's whom the world ignorantly calls God. And our Lord and Savior, his name is YAHAWASHI, that's whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus. His name is YAHAWASHI. Shalom to the Lord's elect, and much respect to the brothers that teach, preach, and prophesy in the true doctrine of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. There could only be one truth. Salutations to all my fellow laborers that's doing this work in sincerity and in truth. I want to thank the Most High, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, for giving me the inspiration, the Holy Spirit, the RAWCHAA QADASH to do this lesson. And double honors to the elders, the bishops, and the apostles of the great millstone who taught me this truth. I want to thank the Most High, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, for giving me the inspiration, the Holy Spirit, in the Hebrew tongue, the RAWCHAA QADASH, to do this lesson. Yahawah willing, this lesson will be edifying and to the point. And this is just a late night epistle. Just figure I'll do this epistle and blow the trumpet. And this is from the Hal Turner radio show, and it says hostilities commencing against drug cartels. It says the army of Ecuador had just begun firing multiple launch rocket systems known as MLRS projectiles against the Los Lobos drug cartel in the province of Colombia. Ecuador is firing rockets into Colombia, at least 32 rockets. So yes, this is what you're hearing. And I'm gonna play this video here. Fair use, fair use, fair use. I don't own this video. I don't own the rights to this video. Just simply playing this video for edification purposes only. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Stand by. That video might be copyrighted, so I'm not even gonna bother playing that. Fair use, fair use, fair use. But like I said, it might be. Actually, you know what? Let me just let me put it on quiet for a second. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. It says it was just the past weekend that President DJT smashed the president of Colombia as being a major drug trafficker. This morning, Ecuador begins firing rockets at a Colombia drug cartel. So just recently, Trump has accused Maduro, president of Venezuela, for the same thing. So now Trump is calling the president of Colombia as being a major drug trafficker. With the United States massing in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela and sinking drug boats in the Caribbean, the U.S. calling Colombia president a major drug trafficker, and now Ecuador opened fire. South America appears to be on the verge of a very large military confrontations, right? A very large military confrontations. And this is the update. It says at 10:41 a.m. It says Colombia foreign minister have announced the recall of its ambassador to the United States, Daniel Garcia Pena, amid ongoing diplomatic tensions spurred by criticism of the Trump administration ongoing strike campaign against alleged drug trafficking vessels in the southern Caribbean by Colombian President Gustavo Petro. So that is the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro. And these two has been added recently in the news because some of the criticism that President Gustavo Petro have said about Donald Trump and how he's dealing with the issue concerning Venezuela. And he called him out. And of course, Trump didn't like that because any of these presidents and prime ministers that try to call out Donald Trump, he will respond with either tariffs or some type of retaliation. And also, I haven't not seen it, but it's also said, and I was watching a video where he was also critical on how things are being handled in the Levant region. So anyone who doesn't align with that, they tend to demonize them and put sanctions or military their strong arm on these nations. So let's go to this video here. Once again, I'm gonna play the copyright disclaimer. Copyright Act of 1976. Copyright under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, and scholarship. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Now watch this.
Of their lost.
Wait a second. Let me go for this one here first. Salakia. This guy was going into a lot, but I don't want to play all that videos. It's kind of long.
Tonight, President Trump threatening to cut all U.S. aid to Colombia, accusing the country's president of being an illegal drug leader. Trump posting that Colombian President Gustavo Petro is doing nothing to stop drug production, warning him to close up the cartel's killing fields immediately, or the United States will close them up for him, and it won't be done nicely. The fiery message comes just hours after Petro accused the U.S. of killing an innocent fisherman during U.S. strikes on vessels in the Caribbean Sea. Petro writing, U.S. government officials have committed murder and violated our sovereignty in territorial waters. That strike, one of 7 such attacks on suspected drug boats since Trump declared earlier this month that the U.S. is in armed conflict with the cartels, justifying the use of deadly military force. 32 alleged traffickers have since been killed, according to the administration. Their identities remain unknown. Trump is calling them narco-terrorists.
That was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs.
But the administration is providing no evidence that those killed were attempting to ferry drugs to the U.S., alarming even some Republican allies.
All of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime.
Mary, on Thursday, Admiral Alvin Halsey, the commander of U.S. troops in the region, suddenly stepped down after less than a year in the post. Neither Halsey nor the Defense Department have explained the move publicly.
They don't have a fight against drugs. They make drugs. They refine drugs. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They have no fight against drugs. And I'm stopping all payments to Colombia because they don't have anything to do with their fight against drugs. And in fact, even when they had better presidents than they have right now, that's how they're making a lot of money, drugs. I used to complain about it when they had a very nice president, but he wasn't doing it. It was all talk. They are a drug.
But it's interesting that, again, I always have to qualify this. I always have a new listener. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a horse in this race. But shouldn't the leader of the free world, president of his own country, be concerned about the issues that is in his own country? With the unemployment, with the drug use, the homeless, the crime, all these type of things, the violent, the thefts, the economy, everything. But he's concerned with other countries, and this is going to be a very controversial thing. But if you know in the history of a lot of these agencies, they are in control of a lot of these things that are going in and out of the country. So everyone benefits from, all these countries benefit from the use of the whole trade of these illicit things. So this is all hypocrisy at its finest right here.
Manufacturing machine.
You have to worry about your own home first, no?
Colombia, and we're not going to be part of it. So we're going to drop all money that we're giving to them. It has nothing to do with them stopping drug production. And
that's the same thing he just said. It has nothing to do with them stopping that production. And also it has nothing to do with him stopping that production.
Look at the fields. The fields are loaded up with drugs, and they refine the drugs, and they make tremendous amounts of cocaine, and they send it all over the world, and they destroy families. No, Colombia is out of control, and now they have the worst president they've ever had.
And that part is correct. These illicit drugs destroying families, deleting a lot of people. He is correct on that, 100%.
He's a lunatic who's got a lot of problems, mental problems.
You gotta love good old Donnie. All right. I just asked the chat. I said, What Trump is accusing Colombia of? Trump has labeled Colombian President Gustavo Petro as an illegal drug leader, accusing Colombia of producing and exporting huge amounts of cocaine and of not sufficiently fighting the drug trade. Those are some harsh words, some blows going back and forth. He says the United States will end all aid to Colombia and impose new tariffs on Colombian exports. Because I actually just went to the chat and I said, what is Colombia? I have it on another phone here, but I said, what is Colombia rich in terms of minerals? Go right to the point. Minerals and metals. Gold. Colombia has been historically a gold producer. Coal, one of the top coal exports in the world. Emeralds, over 70% of the world's emeralds. Wow. Nickel, significant deposit, especially in the north. Copper, increasing in exploration and development. Platinum, mined in deposits along the rivers. And these are all important because this is going to tie into this lesson perfectly. It says petroleum, a major export, primarily from fields in the Llanos Basin and Putayamo. Natural gas reserves exist in the Caribbean region and offshore. Forestry, coffee, bananas, sugarcane, flowers, cocoa, palm oil, water resources, abundant rivers and rainfall, biodiversity. This is, I didn't realize how much resources Colombia have. And that's going to tie into that because for another reason. Ultimately, they always want the resources. It says he says the United States will end all aid to Colombia and impose new tariffs. That's how they get down. And if not, they bring the economic lynchmen on the economic mafia on them. That's how they cripple all these countries. It says because, in his view, Colombia is not doing its share in the war on drugs. And that's what recently they said what Canada was doing as well. And then Carney buckled and he ended up shaping up a few things about tightening up the border and stuff. And he had all the Canadians on high alert. It says the United States has designated Colombia as a country that failed demonstrably to uphold counter narcotics and obligations, a form of decertification. Salakia couldn't see that. It says U.S. military operations in the Caribbean targeting alleged drug traffickers, vessels, and ongoing. Colombia objects to these actions and violations of its sovereignty. See, so they basically they called out America and didn't like it. It says why is being framed as a war. See, the Trump has declared the United States to be a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels, in that framing countries like Colombia became involved by association or by in transit producing zones. And this is really a war on them predominantly Israelite nations, predominantly, right? Because a lot of them are scattered in those Asian nations. And the tribe of Asher, a lot of them are the Colombians, right? He says, the use of military force, terrorists, aids, and cuts, and strong rhetoric, calling a foreign leader a drug lord, makes the dispute feel more like a confrontation than simply normal diplomacy. And that's really what, at the end of the day, that's what you would speak to another world leader and address. You don't call them out like that, right? So this is going back and forth. But you see all these Latin American nations, so to speak, even Brazil's president recently called Trump gringo, Lula. He called him gringo, right? So they're going back and forth. See, and this is all will fit into prophecy perfectly, because in the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, it says they shall hate the whore, talking about these other nations. It says, let's go here. It says why this matters and possible consequences. Colombia is one of the biggest producers of cocaine globally. See, but they all benefit from it. All these shows, all these movies like Cocaine Cowboys and Blow and all these things. They're based on all true stories where the Americans were importing this stuff from the 80s. All these major cities like, Miami and all this stuff. There's a lot of documented stuff shows you that a lot of these agencies are compromised, and their own people, they all benefit from it. If they, let's say hypothetically, they were supposed to stop the war on drugs, a lot of people will be out of work, and a lot of companies will shut down, and a lot of things will go sour. Let's continue on. It says, where's the other one I brought here? And I said, why is Trump targeting Colombia now? And I just want to get to the point. It says Trump has publicly accused Colombian president of being an illegal drug leader, claiming that Colombia is strongly encouraged the massive production of drugs, big and small fields. There was something I wanted to read here. The water right here. It says, why is Trump doing this? There are several motivations and contents. Drug policy and national security. Trump frames this as a matter of United States national interest. See how he frames it, because peace and safety. They always use the guise of peace and safety. They always come in with that forked tongue. It says the book of Psalms. It tells you what the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. See, so they come in with that smooth talk, the American national sovereignty and for our citizens, and but no, they want the resources. That Colombia is not doing enough to stop the drugs and flowing towards the United States. Domestic political positioning, taking a hard stance on drugs. This is what Reagan did, the same thing, and Trump and Reagan were both actors on foreign aid and subsidies. Appeals to part of this base and aligns with a tough external threat posture, right? It says diplomatic leverage, withholding aid and threatening terrorists, gives leverage to the United States in negotiations with Colombia. See that? It gives them leverage, forcing them to act in Trump's view, or suffer economic consequences. And they know when America sanctioned these countries go through hardship. But the difference is now Colombia is aligning with the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, the BRICS nations, so on and so forth. It says bilateral relations strain, despite Colombia's historically being a close ally. Tensions have risen. Trump's language is unusually harsh, which signals a shift in how he is willing to deal with long-standing partners. Because there was another thing here. Let's go to another article here. This is the one here. I said I asked if the question I had asked was, does Colombia have any military U.S. military bases? And it says South America, U.S. military bases in Colombia, and the dispute over resources. See that? Once again, this is where it's all tying in, right? This is a very beautiful article. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's a very beautiful, lot of information here for time's sake. But it says the intimate agreement between the United States and Colombia over the use of 7 military bases by the Southern Command, Southcom, forms part of the major dispute over commonly held resources throughout the South American region. First, a few recent updates. It says Venezuela has become the #1 country in the world in potential oil reserves following the announcement by the Venezuelan state-owned petroleum company that locates an estimated 314 billion barrels in the Orano heavy oil belt. According to the PDVSA, the findings show Venezuela knocking Saudi Arabia down to the #2 in the world with 264 billion barrels. Are you listening to this? Now you're seeing how this is all tying in together. Greed, right? Saudi Arabia, it says Faith Baral, chief economist of the International Energy Agency, affirms the oil crisis will hit much sooner than previously expected. And you know what is so important with this oil right now? A lot of these countries are what? Going to war. That is the Third World War. You see? Because it tells you in the book of Isaiah 9 and verse 5, it says, for every battle of the warriors confused with noise with garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with fuel of fire. So what is going to fuel those missiles? Petroleum, oil. This is why this is what it's all about. At the end of the day, it says, right here, it says, the world is heading for a catastrophic energy crunch that could cripple sooner than previously expected, right? A global economic recovery, as the most of the world's major oil fields have passed their peak production. See what it's about? Resources. See, Beryl maintains that the figures the IEA has previously used were incorrect, and he predicts that peak oil production will be reached in 10 years, 2020, rather than 2030. This is an older article, but you see what it's about, the resources. You know what? I'm not even going to read all that, but man, it shows you a lot. It's a beautiful read, but let's go to the scriptures. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 3, because this is why he's doing it, starting at verse 3, because he wants the resources, right? It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. What is the vision? The prophecies. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. And what is one of the visions? And you should hear of, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 6. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Aren't we hearing of wars and rumors of wars? Calling presidents drug dealers, and they're threatening to heavy, if you don't clean up your act, we're going to clean it up for you. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. This is what we're seeing. America is threatening Colombia now, and also threatening Venezuela and all these other nations. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and they shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And we're seeing all that stuff. Let's go back to Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And this is the point. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. This is Esau. He's crooked, but the just shall live by his faith. His soul is not upright in him, because he's very crooked. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, his democracy. He is a proud man. Who does that speak of? He is a proud man.
They don't have a fight against drugs. They make drugs. They refine drugs. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They have no fight against drugs. And I'm stopping all payments to Colombia because they don't have anything to do with their fight against drugs.
He is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home. America have over 850 military bases across the world. And you also see, we recognize they have some also in Colombia as well. Who enlarges his desire is hell. You never hear hell is the condition playing out on this earth, and also hell is the grave. The grave has never said, oh, we have enough bodies. Who enlarges his desire is hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations. There you go, all the nations, all the world, the 18 nations people are living in America. You have all embassies and military bases across the world, and heapeth unto him all people, right? Because this is what he does. Because he has the power, right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 4. We're going to close out here. It says, and they went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. They are taking peace from the earth, that they shall kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Now was Esau's blessing, a sword. Esau's blessing was the sword, right? So I just want to bring out something really quick. It is it's kind of late, but through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, I read this article, and the spirit says, do a lesson. So I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Until next time, YAHAWAH willing, shalom, shalom, shalom.